Education is very important for human resource development as well as being this basis for development in every aspect, whether is it knowledge, ability, mental, or other aspect. According to the website Humanium Today, education remains an inaccessible right for millions of children around the world. More than 72 million elementary-age children are out of school, and 759 million others are uneducated without awareness necessary to improve the living conditions of children in developing and developed countries. Children do not have access to basic education. There are 4 factors that make a lack of education a global problem: poverty, gender inequality, socio-economic, and health.
First, the issue of poverty and education. A lack of education led to poverty, and poverty limits access to education. The view of poverty, both as a cause as a consequence of inadequate access to it, is distorted. Quality education is basically poverty reduction ensure access to quality education. In the research article, The Impact of Education on Multidimensional Poverty Across the Region of Punjab by Muhammad Imran Nazi and Atta Alan Khan, they say the problem of poverty remains the burning challenge in the history of the economy. Borginens and Chakravarti 2002 conclude that the poverty of a person arises due to the insufficiency of different necessities such as literacy, housing, health, provision of public service, and etc. They are subsistence contributor to the subsistence level of living.
The rural region had a higher incidence of multi-dimensional poverty and a lower rate of education than the urban region. The main reasons for this horrible situation were the lowest quality as well as quantity of education, insufficiency or absence of health facility, poor housing conditions, lack of improved resources for drinking water, limited road networks, and imperfection of markets. Therefore, the solution to the poverty and education issue necessitates improvements in the socio-economic aspects of life, particularly in education, to alleviate poverty, particularly in the rural areas. In addition, key improvements in the rural infrastructure, like schooling, hospitals, banks, post office, recreational activities, and the creation of non-farm employment opportunities like Guinea factories and juice factories also help.
Second, the issue of gender inequality. In the research article Breaking the Cycle, the causes and effects of uneducated girls in Rwanda and Pakistan by Ali Khalid Drum says that historically, low-income families favor educating their boys over educating their girls, leading these girls are down a long road of poverty and gender inequality. There are many factors that cause an inequality in education between boys and girls. However, the root of the issue is that many developing countries do not even recognize men and women as equals. Clausen explains that when girls are not given the same access to education as their male counterparts, it can result in continuous gender inequality in education for generations to come. Therefore, the solution to gender inequality that causes girls to lack education is to provide additional facilities for girls,
education to provide equal access to education, more opportunities for girls, secondary education.
Third, the issue of socioeconomic. In sociological research, the relationship between family socioeconomic status and children's academic achievement has been established. Why there is disagreement over the best way to measure socioeconomic status?
A study by Grace 1995 found that children from low socioeconomic backgrounds do not perform as well as they potentially could at school compared to children from high socioeconomic backgrounds. Falling adult income makes it more difficult for parents to directly shoulder the cost of education, such as tuition, fees, books, equipment, uniforms, and personal tutors. The result of the study were jeopardized as children were withdrawn from school or were inadequately prepared.
One also says that households with educated adults are more reluctant to withdraw children from school during crisis periods, possibly because educated adults have more accurate information on government programs, employment opportunities, and loans. For example, there is evidence from Costa Rica that enrollment rates drop less in households with more educated adults, holding all other factors constant. Therefore, the solution to socio-economic issue is that there are programs to reduce the cost of education, especially by reducing the cost of school uniform, and introduction to the school feeding program and tackling the opportunity cost to the extreme is the most effective way of increasing enrollment.
For the issue of health, academic performance can be harmed by poor health. Education and health do not have a one-sided relationship. Education is influenced by health as well.
Studies among children and adolescents have shown association between mental health problems. See Carol Morgan, Goodman, and Morses, 2005. Morgan and Carol, 2006. Meta-analysis have indicated higher levels of depression. Mack and Reed, 2006. Nathan and Harwood, 2011b. And Anxiety Nelson Harwood, 2011a. Some researchers suggest that it is mostly external factors that simultaneously affect both education and health. For instance, Case 14 and Patient 2005, using panel data from the United Kingdom, found that children's health was significantly affected by the socioeconomic status of their family. The solution to health issues: students should be given assistance, recognize the advantages of self-care through a variety of approaches that are acceptable, competent, and most accurate.
Discussion and analyze. Lack of education seriously affect everyone. Not only those who are less educated and educated. People have difficulty advancing in life, have worse health, and poorer than well-educated people. The main impact of lack of education are poverty, gender equality, economic and social health. It will affect all aspects. The only way out of the poverty trap is education. If you get higher education, it seems to lead to higher income. Gender equalities can be a major obstacle to the women's education. Countries with less educated women continue to promote gender equality from generations to generation. Less educated women tend to have children at an early age. According to the United Nations Girl Education Initiative. Economy and society. Countries with more educated populations have more sustainable economic growth over long term than countries with less educated populations. If any country has more education, productivity will be higher and employers become more creative. Health conditions, disability, and unhealthy behavior all have a negative impact on education outcomes. Focus in class, which directly affects the academic performance of the school. Its conclusions. Lack of education is a major problem in promoting and developing the country. Lack of education is a global problem that affects many aspects of education system. Lack of education has serious effects on everyone, not just those who are undereducated. People who are lack of education have trouble getting ahead in life, have worse health, and are poor than the well-educated. Major effects of a lack of education include poverty, gender equality, the economy, and society. It will be affect every aspect. The only way out of the poverty trap is through education. If you get higher education, it seems to lead to higher income. So we see the problem of lack of education as a huge global problem. Especially in poor countries, many children experience educational equality. This can lead to a number of serious problems as these children become adults.